Good evening to everybody, and welcome to another edition of Real Talks, or Real Talks After Dark, where every movie I talk about, new or old, is going to ignite a conversation. So come join me on the cinematic journey as I turn back the clock and talk in depth about some of the greatest films of all time. Tonight, I should say, I'd like to welcome everybody back to the continuation of what I'm calling Marvel March here on the channel, where basically I'm going through some of the best Marvel films to date. And I have another great one for you guys tonight. And this is part one of the epic finale, Avengers Infinity War. Now, Avengers Infinity War is just an amazing movie all the way around. Um, so, what I did was I took the liberty, okay? I watched this with the director's commentary okay, on Disney Plus because I wanted to. I had done it once or twice before, but I really wanted to listen to, and I took notes as I was listening. And then on my tablet, okay, I actually did. I had the film on, but I had the dialogue on because I wanted to get a full, complete immersion of what the directors are saying and what the dialogue is. Now, anybody who's watched something with the director commentary on, okay, or at least Avengers Infinity War. So they actually had on the writers as well, okay, and you'll know that the dialogue, they're just talking over it. So they're running the movie, but they're talking over the dialogue. So I wanted to get the full immersion. So I actually, as I said, I put the dialogue onto my tablet, and then I had the actual film on with the commentary on my television. So let's do a quick recap because, as we all know, this came out in 2018. But let's do a quick recap, anyways. So back in 2008, okay, and I'll leave the link for this up here in the corner. Okay, a little movie called Iron Man hit the theaters. Now, nobody had really known. I gave a little history about Marvel Studios and how that all worked, and it was a rousing success. And that ended up earning over $580 million at the world box office. Now, since this time, now I'm only going up to Infinity War when I say this. Okay, I know there have been over 30, but since this time, okay, there have been 23 films that earned over $8 billion, $8.2 billion worldwide. Okay, it's incredible to even think about. For the better part of 10 years, Marvel had led fans on an incredible journey of storytelling and with multiple characters spanning time and space. And nobody had ever tried to do this before, ever, because they thought it was too difficult. So, except Marvel. And Marvel tried this out and they didn't know. So, it all led up to this, right? This there is when it comes to Marvel, there are a couple of big bags. Okay, we have Galaxus, we have Kang, and then the one they started the whole thing with. Okay, Thanos. So Thanos, okay, I remember sitting in the theater just like millions of other people. Okay, and Thanos was the big bad, and this was so a little bit of context about the Avengers. Okay, first and foremost, the Avengers came out in 2012. I can't even believe I'm saying that. It's 12 years old. But nonetheless, it was the first film that made $200 million opening weekend. Okay, think about that for a minute, guys. $200 million. And it's the only film up until that point, it's the only film ever to make $100 million the second weekend. So it made $300 million its opening weekend. So everybody had been wondering what was going to go on, who the big bad was. at the end of the Avengers. By the way, that's um, still one of the funniest post credit scenes when they're in the shawarma shop. Okay. By the way, there is actually something called. I didn't realize this until about 2 or 3 years ago. There is actually something called shawarma as for food, but that's a whole other thing. So that's still one of the funniest post credits. Interestingly enough, okay, one of the characters, okay, was working on another movie. So when you had his hand over his mouth, he actually had a beard, so they couldn't CGI it out. Okay, and it was a last minute thing that Josh Whedon did. Okay, so nonetheless, the second cutscene we see is this. So we're in space, and it comes in, and we hear this alien, the one that just got destroyed, said, humans cannot be ruled. Okay, they're unruly. And then it pans in, and all you see, and not a word besides the creature saying something, all you see is a turn of the head, and it's Thanos. Everybody lost it. They're like, oh my God, it's Thanos. So, and you have to remember that the motion capture and everything else wasn't quite there yet. So, but he was the big bad. Now, we only see him 4 times up to Infinity War. Okay. Um, so the first time, as I said, was in the Avengers. Okay. And then the next time was Guardians, right? Everybody remembers this scene in Guardians when he's talking with Thanos, or he's talking with Ronan. Okay. And actually, he appears twice, once when he has the stone, and then once when he's going to get the stone. This is the scene when he's going to go get the stone. And so, we see how big he is and how powerful he is. And we'll get to that in a couple of minutes. But that's just incredible in itself. So we see him twice there, okay? And then the final time we see him, okay, is the in at the end of Age of Ultron, okay? Fine. I'll do it myself. Now, now we know what's coming. Okay? Now we know what's coming. And so, that all being said, we have this showdown. We are going to get this ultimate big bad showdown against the Avengers. Um, so now you have to understand something too. Okay, Black Panther, okay, also got released in 2018. As a matter of fact, it got released a month earlier. Okay, and that blew up, and that opened to $202 million. Okay, an incredible amount. That's obviously a $1 billion movie. And by the way, guys, I've gone back and I've done, I did Black Panther 6 years later, a retrospective, and I'll put it up right there in the top for you guys to go check that out. So that got released a month earlier, and then we had Infinity War, and everybody. This is what everybody was waiting for, right? So, um, it gets released, okay, and the numbers are just staggering. When I talk about history making, um, just in general, I'm going to give you guys a couple numbers because I want you guys to really grasp how big this was back then. Okay. So, once again, this came out in 2018. Okay. This opened to $257 million. Okay. $257 million. It went on to gross nearly $700 million here in the United States, $2 billion worldwide. Now, here are some of the records this broke, because I think it's incredibly important for everybody to hear this. Okay, so here in just the United States, okay, highest opening weekend and single weekend gross was $257 million. That actually beat, okay, the previous record holder was The Force Awakens. That came out a couple years earlier at 247. Of course, as we all know, Endgame would go on to beat this, and we're never going to see that kind of opening again. The highest spring opening gross. Okay, so those are, a couple of those. The fastest to gross $150 million. Now, mind you, this is um just it took 2 days. Okay, Avengers Endgame was one. Okay, fastest to 200 million, 3 days. Endgame did it in two. Fastest to 250, three. Endgame did it in two. Okay, um, the numbers go on and on and on. Okay, here's some of the just the worldwide ones. Highest opening in single weekend gross, $640.5 million. The highest was the Fate of the Furious a couple years prior. That only had 541. Okay, that was obviously surpassed by Endgame at 1.223 billion. Fastest to gross a billion was 11 days. Guess what? The Force Awakens did it in 12. Endgame did it in 5. Fastest to a billion and a half, 18 days. Force Awakens, 19 days. Endgame did it in 8. Fastest, highest grossing superhero movie, $2 billion. The Avengers, okay, made 1.5. Endgame made almost 2.8. Um, the numbers are just staggering, absolutely staggering, and it's just remarkable to even look at. Um, and I this is just the beginning. Okay, so now I wanted to give some numbers to give context. Okay, because we're never going to see. I mean, Joker's done it. Okay, we had Oppenheimer this year. We had Barbie. We've got a couple of, but the opening you're never going to see like that again. Okay, so moving on. In my opinion, okay, this tactic to build Thanos up even more worked, and it worked very well. From the beginning, when we see Thanos and Hulk fighting the Hulk, okay, according to the Russos, they wanted to show just how powerful he was with with one stone. Okay, one thing that they were trying to avoid was to be repetitive. This is Thanos' story. At the end of the day, he is the glue that binds everything together. He is the big bad. Okay, all of the characters make their entrance when they're needed to. Okay, as the film progresses, the little hints that are dropped. For example, when Thanos gives Gamora a knife as a child, okay, it signifies balance. What is he trying to do? He's trying to balance the universe. He's trying to get all six stones in order to snap his fingers to take away 50% of all of the life in the galaxy. Now, you have to understand something too, okay? A great villain, okay, and it can span whether it's Darth Vader or Hannibal Lecter or whatever. A great villain, okay, what they will do, okay, is they will do something wrong. They will do something they believe is right for the wrong reasons. So, put this into context for a minute. Thanos wants to balance the galaxy, okay? And that being said, he's going to want to wipe out half of the population of the universe. And he figures he can do it with the stones. But in reality, He's a madman. And that's why they call him the Mad Titan, right? Because it's genocide. But he feels he's doing the right thing. So when you have a villain that does something wrong in their mind, something right for the wrong reasons, that makes a great villain. And then you get into the emotional, okay, aspect of it. It's one of those things where it's incredible. Thanos is the best villain of all time, in my opinion. Yeah, he's right up there with. I mean, look, he's right up there with. I'm not kidding. With Hannibal Lecter, Darth Vader, Nurse Ratched of What Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I mean, some of the greatest villains of all time. And but what makes him even better, and I was just explaining, is that they what they do is they don't display him everywhere. Between the Avengers and Infinity War, 4 times you saw him. That's it. That's it. Because they wanted to make sure they really saved him. So that all being said, it worked. When, as I said, when he was fighting Hulk, okay, they wanted to prove that, okay, and they didn't want it to be repetitive. And once again, okay, so the knife. Furthermore, every single time that Thanos gets a stone, he uses it in the next scene. So I want you to think back to the really the fight on Titan, right? So on the fight on Titan, okay, he actually throws a moon at Iron Man, right? And he uses the reality stone, I believe, not the reality stone. He uses one of the stones, okay, and he throws the moon at Iron Man. By the way, this photograph is from Weta. They did a remarkable job. They said that in the commentary that basically they used almost every single visual effects house in the world. But nonetheless, this shot here, he was using one of the stones, okay, to throw the moon at Iron Man. He had just gotten the stone previously. Okay. Now, think about the time stone. Remember when Doctor Strange, the fight on Titan? Okay. Remember when, you know, Iron Man got impaled and he had said, look, if push comes to shove, I can't give the stone up. What does he do? He gives the stone up. Okay. Because he went through all the different realities, you know, and he gives Thanos the stone. Um, that all being said, so that just goes to show you not only how good he was, but how powerful he was. Now, now, now that you know how powerful he was, let's talk about some of the characters. Okay. By the way, the 1963 film The Raven was an inspiration for that whole sequence on Titan. So let's. I want to talk about obviously the main people, okay, and the characters. So when we see Tony Stark, okay, Tony Stark goes through an evolution of a lot of different, um, just a lot of different things. Um, and that is one of the things. So when we meet him, he's very arrogant, okay? He's um, brash, okay? Um, so he's not likable. He's one of those characters that's very not likable. And when we see him later on, okay, it's um he becomes much more um what's the word I want to use? Lovable, for lack of a better word. So that being said, okay, when we see him in Infinity War, okay, and this is just another little thing that they do so well. is that um, Tony in the beginning of Infinity War, okay, what does he do? He's talking to Pepper about possibly having a child, okay? So, um, there we go. Okay, I was just sorry about that, guys. Um, so that was a big thing. He was talking to Pepper about having a child, okay? And if anybody will remember, throughout the whole thing, Peter has gone, or so Tony has gone through a lot of different stages. Okay, as I said, he's been brash. We've seen him have PTSD. He's become a father figure, and of course, he had a different ideologies than Cap, which led to the falling out over the Sokovia Accords. Which, by the way, in the first 10 minutes of the movie, first 15 minutes of the movie, we're thrust right back into it. Okay, he wants to call him, but he's trying, and that's the thing too. They talk about, excuse me, when we talk about, sometimes they need to hold your hand, okay, and it's exposition. So anybody who's just coming into the uh Infinity War right now, right? They tell you what the Infinity Stones are, okay? They tell you what they can do. They tell you what Thanos' ultimate objective is, okay? And that is to snap his fingers and wipe out half the galaxy. Okay. So there are stakes here. There are major stakes. So getting back to Tony, we see him go through being a brash individual. We see him having PTSD. We see him becoming a father figure. And we see him basically wanting regulation over the Sokovia Accords. Now, here's the other thing, too. Okay. He's been like a father figure to Peter. Okay. Ever since he first Civil War, right? Where he comes to New York and tries and he recruits him, okay, to Homecoming when he's trying to guide Peter about fighting the Vulture and everything else. So when he loses Peter, it's devastating, devastating. What's the first thing that he says at the end of the beginning of Endgame? And by the way, guys, I will be doing Endgame as the next video. But what does he say? He says, I lost the kid. I lost the kid. I couldn't save him. So we see a complete evolution. Okay. That's just the first character. Then we have Captain America. Captain America goes through a number of different changes. Okay. Um, and basically, over the course of the 10 years, okay, from really when we see him, okay, in First Avenger, in being the very first Avenger, to Infinity War, he goes through a multitude of changes himself. And the way that's signified is his suit. Okay. So take a look at this, for example. This is from Captain America, First Avenger, the USO, right? This is from the Avengers. Okay. Then we come down here. Okay. This is from Civil War. Okay. And then this is from Infinity War. So you see the star, how it basically it's dark. Basically, he's telling Ross that scene when they save Vision and Wanda that look, I don't care what you do to me. Okay, I don't care if you like me or not. I'm here as a fighter. Okay, but we see this through his uniform, and that's so important. He's never changed his mentality. Remember, guys, he went at odds with Tony in Civil War. Okay, because you know, he says, I mean, that's the other that's like the scene in the office, you know, he says, I want to punch you in your perfect teeth sometimes. Or he basically, Cap says to him, look, if I see a situation going south, I can't turn my back. I wish I could, but I can't. That's just his mentality. And that kind of uniform signifies it. Whereas this kind of uniform here, okay, signifies that he doesn't give a damn. He's out for one person, okay, not himself, because, there is a whole plot point there. But at the same time, he doesn't care that, you know, he he's very defiant. I'll put it like that. He's very, very defiant. Um, so that being said, then we come to Thor. Okay, now Thor, this is his hero's journey. Okay, this is his hero's journey because you got to remember, guys, Thor's lost everybody in his life. He's lost his mother. He's lost his father. He's lost his sister. Okay, and he's experienced nothing but pain. This, this in itself, okay, is going to be his hero's journey. And don't forget, guys, he had a chance to kill Thanos, and he didn't. He couldn't. Okay, that's why, you know he said you're going to die for that. Remember at the very beginning when the ship blows up, and then the Guardians get him. He goes to the star, and then he has to go get a weapon that will kill Thanos. So his arc is so fascinating, so fascinating. Um, so that's just another piece of the puzzle. Um, then you have the Hulk. So the Hulk, okay, what they wanted to try and do, okay, is they wanted to they thought it would be interesting to see if the Hulk and Banner, what would happen if the Hulk and Banner could not coexist. Okay. Um, and that being said, okay, they were trying to figure out what would happen. And, that was the whole funny thing at the beginning of Infinity War when we see children of Thanos come down. And basically, and Hulk can't turn into the Hulk because they're having issues, right? It's like a relationship going bad. So that whole thing. Um, so so we see him get Stormbreaker, and we see the most powerful, weapon that's ever put in. And that's when that he has that big entrance, and he comes in, and he's basically he's about to snap his fingers, okay, and so he comes in and basically puts the axe right into him, and he says, "You should have gone for the head." And he snaps his fingers, and that's okay. So not only, and you can see the look on Thor's face there. It's kind of blurry, but you can see it. Not only did he lose his whole family, but he feels like he's responsible. This is all emotion. Okay. Now there's one other small tidbit. And by the way, guys, this is another suit that was from Winter Soldier. And you can see, like I showed you, the differences and just all the different colors and everything else. So, that being said, okay, there's a big thing here. And so, one of the stones, okay, is something that was a um, major thing. Okay. So so it was agreed upon that everybody at the midway point, the conversation between Thanos and Gamora was the midway point. Okay. And so, basically they were having the argument that she didn't like her life and the resources were finite and everything. She says, you don't know that. And he says, I'm the only one that knows that. Because of course he lived on Titan where it all happened. But he needed a dark moment. Okay. In order to get all of the stones, he needed a dark moment. And the dark moment, okay, was killing his own daughter or his adopted daughter. Okay. And he even says, listen, I've brushed aside my destiny once. I can't do it again. And when that whole thing happens, he gets the stone. And then after the snap, okay, after the snap happens, he wakes up in like a dream world. And so you see he's laying down in this water. And he gets up and he starts walking over to his daughter, the girl you see, okay, when he takes her as a girl and says, he says, daughter, um, let me get this off the screen real quick so you guys can see the whole line. He says, daughter, did you do it? Yes. What did it cost? Everything. So, excuse me, you see the emotional beat. Thanos had to go through something tragic in order to achieve his ultimate goal. He had to lose somebody close to him in order to have everything happen. The emotional beats are just incredible. Now, when both Black Panther and Infinity War were being filmed simultaneously, because guys, you got to remember, both of these movies were, being filmed in Atlanta. Okay, and by the way, guys, the weather was over 100 degrees. It was nasty. So the chance, okay, that we see in the third act when they come in and they're gonna the beasts are gonna break through the barrier in Wakanda, those chants were actually done by um the cast because they were trying to figure what to say and they figured it out. The early reaction of the establishing shot of Wakanda, okay, was pretty mundane prior to the release of Black Panther. After, and it was revealed that the final battle would take there in test audiences, it got rousing applause. Okay. So just when we think Thanos is going to do the snap, okay, like I said, in comes Stormbreaker. In comes Stormbreaker. And he comes flying in. And by the way, guys, and we're led to believe that Thor is going to complete his journey, right? We are led to believe that, okay, Thor's going to finish the story. Okay. And now, had this been a commercial ending, okay, had this been a commercial ending, at the point of Vision, when Vision gets the stone ripped out, that would have been the end of the film. However, the snap, okay, the snap signifies a tragedy, okay? It signifies a tragedy. And what ends up happening is that they wanted to see um sorry, they wanted to basically see that they wanted everything, right? They wanted to see what was going to happen. And so when we see that happen, okay, it is a tragedy. And then people start dying or vanishing. And if you notice, okay, that Everybody who gets snapped, for lack of a better word, it's not in the original Avengers. The only people that are left. So think about who gets snapped away, guys. Okay, it's Black Panther. It's the Guardians. Okay, it's um, it's a couple. Well, it's Quill. Okay, it's Rocket, or it's Groot. It's all of these other people that get snapped away. Okay, all of the original Avengers, Cap, Iron Man, even though he's in space, he survives. Okay, Thor, Nat, and Bruce. Everybody that's introduced is gone. Keep that in mind. So, going back to what I was saying, okay, about it was the reactions, and once again, going and having it full circle, okay, and this is what I was talking about at the beginning of the film, okay, what they wanted was symmetry, okay, because at the beginning of the film, okay, Pepper and Tony are talking about having a child. When they, when the snap happens and everybody starts getting dissolved, we see that emotional scene by Tom Holland where he says, Tony, I don't feel so good, and he falls into his arms. And he's like, it's okay, kid. And then he starts fading away. And Tony, that's the shot of him with his hand over his head, in despair because it's like he's lost a child. He lost a child because he's known Peter his whole life, right? Or a decent portion of it. He helped him get the Spidey suit, a brand new Spidey suit. He helped him, in Germany in Civil War. He helped him through the um, Homecoming with Vulture. So he knows him, Tony. And you're right, Tony was crushed. You're absolutely right, and that's how they wanted us to feel. They wanted us to sit with it and go. I mean, I've heard from other people. I mean, it wasn't in my theater. I saw it 2 or 3 times in theaters, but there were people actually sobbing, literally sobbing, because that just goes to show you. And when you are with these characters for so long, you don't want them to die, right? So when this happens, Tony's crushed. You're right, he is crushed, and it's brutal. So all of that being said, okay, once it's all, you know, I mean, look, even um the final scene, right? Where where even the final scene where Tony is not Tony, I'm sorry, when Cap is um sitting down on the ground and they're trying to figure out what to do, right? And he says, "Oh God," because he knows they lost. And that's the other. You cannot commend them enough for this. Okay, that's the other ballsy point. That's the other point about this. So there's in a script, there's a formula, and one of the plot points is called the point of no return. And that is the plot point in every single feature film that's ever been made that the hero looks like they're going to lose. Okay? And that's where they ended it. That's where they ended it. Going back to what I was saying before, if there was a quote commercial ending, okay, it would have been when Vision had the when Vision, you know, Excuse me, when that happened. That would have been your commercial ending. But what they did was they pulled it back. Okay, they left it on the plot point of the point of no return. So you were like, okay, when is the next film coming out? We need to see this right now. And everybody was trying to figure out, well, what's the title going to be and everything else. And you're never going to see the numbers like that again. That, as I said, that will be the next video I do. But so many different things, so many different things about this movie is just unbelievable. And to have so many characters. Look at the poster, guys. We've got Bucky down there in the corner. Okay, we got Vision and Wanda up there in the other corner. We got Doctor Strange over there in the top right with Wong. Okay, then you got a plethora of characters in there from Gamora to Drax to Rhodey to to Quill to Thor as it goes in the middle. And by the way, this is a great poster. I'm not gonna lie. And you have that to have that many to 13 characters. You're essentially taking all of the majority of those characters and putting them in there. Astounding. Couldn't understand OK's heartbreak. Yeah, because here's the thing too. Like that is that was her king. She had never had any. She was supposed to protect the king, and to see that happen, the look on her face when he dissolves, it's brutal. Um, yeah. So I mean, there's so many superlatives for this. There's a reason why it made $2 billion. Um, I think it's easily one of the best Marvel movies out there. Easily, easily. I mean, you talk to anybody, and they're going to tell you. You say list your top five Marvel movies. Hands down, this is in there because it has everything you want. It has emotion. It has all your characters. It has action. It has drama. It has everything. It has everything. And this is why this is why Endgame blew up so much. That's why it blew up so much. I mean, so I think that it's just remarkable. And that's why I'm doing it for Marvel March because it is one of the best Marvel movies out there. This is peak. When we talk about peak Marvel, this is peak Marvel. Peak Marvel. I'm talking about Civil War. I'm talking about Black Panther. I'm talking about Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm talking peak, peak. Yes, it is a perfect movie. It really is a perfect movie. And I actually thought about considering doing it for my perfect movie series. Okay, um, but it was celebrating 5 years last year. And by the way, guys, if I it will allow me to, I will put the anniversary of the 50th year of anniversary on there for it. But it's just it's a hell of a movie. I've seen it, no joke, 5 times, 6 times. It's so good. It's so good, and I just can't. I can't get over it. It sits with you for a long time. So that is Infinity War, and it's a gem. And by the way, if you're gonna watch this later on and you haven't seen Infinity War, take the 2 hours and 45 minutes and sit down and watch it, and stay to the end. That's what I'm gonna say. I mean, that's the other thing I didn't really talk about with post credit, mid credit scenes. They really want you to see what's going to happen and who gets introduced and everything else. But yeah, that's Infinity War, and he said it, and I agree with him pretty much to a certain extent. It is a perfect movie. So you know, um, that all being said, so this was Infinity War. I was trying to keep this around 30 to 40 minutes. That's not too bad. 45. I'm going to wrap this up here in a couple minutes. Couple of things. Uh, as I said before, the very next um, the very next video you guys are going to get is going to be uh, Endgame, because I just started watching it today, and um, I noticed even in the first like 9 minutes, there's a bunch of stuff that I hadn't really looked at prior to that. So that will be the next one. And it's a good, you know, um, good 1-2 thing. And that the final thing I'll say is this: they ended it in the right place, because there have been franchises that have not done it well, like the Hunger Games, but Harry Potter did it right, and that was really a major thing. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk to you guys about, and thank you if you've watched it all the way through. Okay, um, I really hope you enjoyed it, and I love bringing you this kind of content. But there's something else I do want to talk to you about, and that's memberships. Okay, Dadpool, I say it every time, and I thank you very much for it. He is a loyal member. Okay, he's been with me from the beginning. Okay, everybody that's going to watch this, okay, I've made this extremely, extremely cheap. Okay, the very first month is free. You're not going to pay a dime. Okay, because I want to make sure that you are enjoy it before you actually commit to it. So I have three levels. The first one is $3. That's a cup of coffee at Starbucks. The second one is $6.99. Okay. And the third one, the director, is $10 a month. Now, couple of things. Number one, HBO Max with ads is $9.99 right now today. Netflix just raised their prices again. Okay. That all being said, okay, this $10, if you were to trust me enough with your money, okay, and memberships, this $10 a month not only would help the channel and help me, but it would provide you guys with better programming. But beyond that, okay, you guys are getting a ton of stuff. I'm putting nothing, not one video, am I putting behind a paywall. I could, but I won't, because I watch YouTube as well. I have my favorite creators. I would be very upset if they put stuff behind a paywall. I don't want to do that to you guys. Okay. I want you guys to become a member because you like the content. So you are getting stuff like Marvel March. You are getting Anatomy of a Movie. You are getting the Perfect Movie series. You are getting interviews. You are getting shows like the Oscar shows with Matthew Anderson. You're getting all this stuff, guys. Okay? And it's only costing you $10 a month. That's it. Okay. And what it would do, it was really help me out. But more importantly, I have goals. Okay. Number one, I want to hit 2,000 subscribers before the end of the year. Okay. Hashtag road to 2,000. Number two, I want to hit between 15 to 20 paid memberships by the end of the year. And I believe that's possible with your help. Okay. If you do nothing else, if you watch this all the way through, thank you very much. And I do appreciate it. But if you do nothing else, if you do nothing else, hit that like and subscribe button, because what that does is it gets the content out to others. Okay. So all the unique viewers that I get, okay, that are seeing this for the first time, it's going to be in the recommended. I want them to start watching my videos. Okay. And I want them to enjoy the content just as much as you guys are. Okay. Um, if nothing else, okay, go to the page, check out the little trailer for the channel. If he can't make you subscribe and become a member, I don't know what I can do. I don't know what I can do. Okay? Um, but seriously, I want you guys' help. Okay? I want your guys' help. I want you to enjoy it. I would love for you enough to trust me with it. And this is what it is. So that's about it. So and I'm like I said, I love doing this. This is a side gig for me. I got to be up at 7 o'clock in the morning to go to my real job. But if I can get enough people behind me, I will do this full time. I will put movies out. I'm not even talking about the movie reviews. I've got a spoiler cast for Dune. I will put up there. So I will be covering all of the movies that are coming out this year, whether it's The Fall Guy or you know anything else that's coming out. Okay. So all that being said, guys, thank you very much. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this up. And I just one last thing here from Dadpool. He said, "By the way, just dropped Venom 3 titles. It's called Venom's the Last Dance." I'm not a fan of that title. I'm not a fan of that title at all. I'm not a fan of that title at all. We'll see what happens with that. But okay, guys, I need you to do the three things that you need to do every single day. Okay, the three things that you need to do every single day. Okay, and that is number one, be good, be safe. Number two, be good to others. And number three, have a great day tomorrow. So, um, I'm David Steele. This has been Real Talks. This has been Marvel March. And I will see you guys later. Take care of yourself. Bye bye.